Hey, what's going on guys, it's Onion Rings, and I'm back with another weekly reset vendor video for The Division. Starting off with the blueprints vendor in the base of operations in the terminal. We have an M870 Express shotgun blueprint, a Super 90 blueprint, another shotgun, stamina knee pads blueprint, electronics mask blueprint, high velocity mag blueprint, and then I guess there was something else here that I probably bought, because as I said in my previous video, there's usually always 2 weapons, 2 gears, and then 2 mods. And since there's only 1 mod here, I must have bought something else, so make sure you check and see if there's anything else here for you that's not here for me. And that's it for this vendor. At the special equipment vendor in the terminal, we have an enhanced AUG A3P with Determined, Deadly, and Brutal. You could probably roll Determined to like Responsive or Destructive or something like that, and have a pretty decent AUG here. It's only a 269, but you know, we have optimization stations now these days, so it's not a big deal. We got plenty of div tech and just optimize it. We have a Reckless Chest piece, pretty high on the firearms roll already if you want to keep it firearms. Not, you know, max at 1272, but pretty high. Scale haste is good for some builds. You get some enemy armor damage for PvE and ammo capacity. You could roll one of these things off, obviously because it's only a gold, you can only roll one thing, but you could roll one thing off of it to change it up and make it a little bit better. But this is a pretty good Reckless Chest piece, depending on what you're using it for. If you're using it for PvP, you might want to put some exotic damage resilience or something on there. So some gloves, yeah, we got some Savage gloves here. Not as high on the main stat roll, but they do have SMG and health on kill. You could roll the pistol damage off to something else. Not the best Savage gloves ever, definitely not God rolled, but decent if you can't find any better ones. I believe there was some mods. We get some sticky bomb explosion radius mods here, but I wouldn't recommend buying these because they're Phoenix credits. You can usually get these for sale at other vendors around the map for regular credits, but I mean, then again, if you're stashing Phoenix credits and you have no use for them, excuse me, then you could probably buy them with Phoenix credits. And then yeah, that's not a good mag. None of this stuff is really any good. I checked it all. So that's it for this vendor. At the advanced weaponry vendor, upstairs in the base of operations, we have another AUG with Brutal, Dominant, and Vicious. You could roll Dominant to something else, like Responsive or Destructive, whatever you want. Vicious is going to be a talent that more people will probably try to avoid. However, if you're running something like Nomad, this could be pretty good, because it's going to be an extra 10% critical hit chance when you have more than 2 segments of health, and if you're running Nomad, you'll probably have that most of the time. I know Marco Style loves to roll Vicious on his guns because he usually is almost always at full health because he's got a really good team together. He's got, you know, a really good healer, keep him near full health. But you could run it with Nomad, or if you're running some sort of healer build that has lots of overheals on it that'll keep you at close to full health, Vicious would be pretty good. Obviously Brutal's good, and then, you know, Dominant roll to something else. I have an infantry MG5 here, and the only good thing about it that I'm going to mention is Predatory. If you're running Alpha Bridge with light machine guns and you want Predatory to be a talent that's shared across both guns, it's in the free slot, and you know with Alpha Bridge you share the free talent on both of them, so there's Predatory if you want it. Pretty good high velocity magazine here for Lone Star builds. It does not have rate of fire. Again, like I said last video, I prefer heavy magazine springs because they come with rate of fire usually and they're better. But if you don't care about rate of fire, maybe you're using Alejandro's and you don't need extra rate of fire, then just run these. These are pretty good as well. Crit damage, crit chance, and magazine size. And as I again said in last video, magazine size is not a huge deal either if it's only like 11%. You don't want an extended mag, but like 11% is not going to kill you. However, the ideal magazine is going to be rate of fire and both crits. Oh, and lastly, there is a Russian red dot sight here with accuracy, headshot, and crit. If you want to run this on an SMG, I prefer to run crit damage on my scopes. However, if you're using something that has really bad accuracy, like a PP19 or a house, throw this on there and that'll tighten up that cone spread a little bit. Over at the Wolf's Den safe house, we have a lightweight M4, and this is a pretty damn good find in my opinion. I was actually kind of surprised when I saw it because, hey, get out of here Fortnite, nobody wants you photobombing my video. I was actually pretty surprised when I saw this because It's got destructive and deadly on it, and you could roll focus to something else and get yourself a pretty damn good lightweight M4. You could roll responsive if you're a PvPer and you want to get up close. You could roll brutal if you get a lot of headshots. You know, roll anything you really want on here, and you've got a pretty damn good lightweight M4. And I was actually, like I said, really surprised to see this on sale at pretty much a junk vendor. You know, normally nobody checks these vendors. I check them every week because sometimes they have hidden treasures like these. I mean, that's a damn good M4, and M4s are like basically LVOAs with less recoil. So yeah, you got a pretty damn good assault rifle here. And then there's also a critical hit damage suppressor here. Not the greatest. They roll up to 18% on the critical hit damage, and then accuracy and range, I guess, is okay, but not the best in my opinion. But if you do need yourself a decent large caliber suppressor, here you go. Over at Camp Clinton at the Special Blueprints vendor, we have another M870 blueprint, a firearms gloves blueprint, and a vertical grip blueprint. And like I mentioned with the last blueprint vendor, make sure you guys check these yourself, because there's bound to be something that I've already purchased that is not showing up for me because I purchased it. So make sure you check them for yourself and see if there's anything good. Over at the Camp Clinton Special Equipment vendor, we have a pretty decent Historian with Unforgiving, Accurate, and the History Repeats intrinsic perk. Accurate's pretty good for a sniper, especially if you're going to run this with Deadeye. You want to be able to spam it quicker, so you want to have, you know, higher accuracy. And then Unforgiving, you could roll to something else, like Deadly maybe, get extra crit damage. Since you're going to be running Deadeye, you're going to have a 100% crit chance. Get yourself some extra crit damage in there to match. Not the best Historian ever, but it is pretty good. And I do like the Historian. If anybody wants my opinion on the Historian, it is pretty good in my opinion. It's not the greatest thing ever, but it is pretty cool. Usually if you're gonna run Deadeye though, you'll just use like an SVD, but the Historian is pretty fun, especially if you have a lot of firearms. That History Repeats talent can actually do a good bit of damage. I'm gonna throw in this Liberator. I wasn't going to, but I am, in case you're running Alpha Bridge and you want Predatory as your free perk, shared across both guns. Exotics do not work with Alpha Bridge if it's an exotic that has its own intrinsic perk, like the Pecan, but they do work for the Liberator, because the Liberator doesn't have an intrinsic perk. It has a randomly rolled one, because it pairs with the Centurion for its exotic bonus. So this will work if you want to run Alpha Bridge. You want Predatory as your free perk on both of your assault rifles. And then lastly, there was a 5.52 Holo sight. There was a blueprint for a 5.52 Holo sight for sale at the blueprint vendor in Camp Clinton, like I think a week or two ago. So you could roll your own, but if you missed that or something like that, then this one's pretty decent with some crit chance and headshot damage. These are great for assault rifles and even light machine guns in my opinion, because then, you know, get yourself some extra crit chance. At the Camp Hudson weapons vendor, we have a Deadly, Meticulous, and Ferocious military RPK. It is only a 262, so if you do not want to use this gun as your primary because of how low it is, you could maybe use it as your secondary if you're using Alpha Bridge. Carry it as your secondary gun, so you get Ferocious on both of your guns. Not a bad choice if you do want to use Alpha Bridge and you want to use light machine guns. This will give you Ferocious on your primary gun if it's equipped as your secondary, so that's pretty good. But if you do want to use it as your primary, you can roll Meticulous off and keep the Deadly and Ferocious, and maybe get Brutal or something in the middle and just optimize it. But honestly, you could probably find a higher RPK that has pretty good talents as well. 262 is pretty low. Usually my lowest I'll go for a weapon is like 270 if I'm going to optimize it, but the choice is your guys. At the Camp Hudson gear vendor, we have some 208 stamina mods with 30% damage to elites. We had some electronic mods. One's on sale at the base of operations a few weeks back, and I actually picked some of them up for like my Firecrest build or whatever. I know that the rolls on these are pretty low, so people who want to min-max their build to perfection will not want to pick these up, but I'm telling you right now, if you are a PvEer like I am mostly, these mods are something you don't want to pass up on, because you can put 5 of them in your mod or in your gear. So that's an extra 15% damage to elites. And if you're running Ferocious on a gun and damage to elites on your mask and these as well, you can get up to like 54, maybe even higher on your damage to elites. I know my Alpha Bridge gear set has like 53% damage to elites, and it helps a lot, so make sure you guys pick these up. At the Cavern, we have some Ballistic Shield damage mods. Pretty simple. If you're running defense and you want to get a little bit extra damage out of your gun, you can grab these. Over at the Last Call safe house, we have an M700 Carbon with Deadly, Ferocious, and Elevated. You could roll Ferocious to Disciplined. I think that's the name of the perk. It's the one that when you kill somebody, your next shot's an automatic critical hit. That's great for Hunter's Faith. Deadly is always good. And then if you have Discipline, that'll give you that perk, and then Elevated, that way if you're above someone, you can do some extra damage. Unfortunately, I wish Ferocious was at the bottom, but I think with the M700s, I think Elevated is always at the bottom. I don't think you can get it anywhere but the bottom. Now, if you do have a hybrid build and you have this much electronics, you could keep Ferocious there and then roll Discipline to the bottom, but most people, if you're going for like a Hunter's Faith build, you're not going to have that many electronics, so yeah, that's why I suggested rolling it off. But I mean, if you do have enough to get Ferocious, go for it. Over at Southpaw Gear Vendor, we have 211 electronic mods with 3% damage to elites. Just earlier, when I mentioned the stamina ones, I was telling you guys about the 209s that were for sale at the base of operations. Well, now we have 211s, which is even better, 2 points more. It's not that big of a deal if you already own the 209s like I do. You may not want to waste your money on them. I mean, it's not like money's rare or anything in this game, but you know, extra 2 points in all 5 slots, that's only going to be an extra 10 electronics. However, if you do not already own the 209s, then definitely pick these up. And these are great for like Firecrest builds or Sticky Bomb builds. Give you extra electronics and extra damage to elites, especially, like I said, if you're a PvEer. Again, if you're PvPing though, you probably want to avoid these because you can get higher rolled ones with like Skill Haste or something, gold ones, but these are great for PvE, so make sure you guys pick them up. Over at the Firewall, we have a pretty decent Vigorous Chest piece, 1248 on the electronics, pretty close to max, not really the max, but pretty close. All resistance, health on kill, and ammo capacity. You could roll the all resistance to Skill Haste, and you'd have yourself a pretty decent Vigorous Chest piece here. Over at the East 61st Street checkpoint, we have a Tirant Suppressor, small caliber muzzle mod for SMGs. It's got crit chance, headshot damage, and critical damage. I myself prefer to put critical hit damage on my muzzles, grips, and scopes, but if you would prefer to max out how much critical hit chance you can possibly get, then this would be a good muzzle option for you. And it's also suppressor, so you'll have reduced threat in PvE. And there's a pro red dot sight here with critical hit damage, headshot damage, and optimal range. Pretty decent for SMGs as well, if you have one. Now, the best possible scope that you can get, in my opinion, is a C79 scope like this with 19% critical hit damage and then headshot damage and range, or crit chance and range, or something like that. But the one that's available at this vendor is pretty good as well, so if you need a good scope for your SMGs, pick this one up. At East 34th Street checkpoint, we have some stamina mods, 262 with 1% critical hit chance. These are pretty good stamina mods if you're trying to max out as much critical hit chance as you can. We had some God Roll ones last week of 267, but they had skill power on them. If you're looking for crit chance instead of skill power, these are pretty good. 5 points away from being God Roll maxed, but that's okay. I mean, 5 points isn't a huge deal. So if you're looking to get some extra crit chance on your stamina mods, there you go. At the East 31st Street checkpoint, we have support station range mods of 7%. I believe 7.5 is the max, and they were on sale last week at a normal vendor in the light zone for sale for like 1.6 million credits. But if you miss those, these are pretty decent options. If you don't have any 7.5 ones, and like I said, you missed the ones last week, then you could grab these for 21,000 DC funds. At 5th Avenue checkpoint, we have a pretty decent small grip with critical hit damage, accuracy, and stability. Pretty decent for submachine guns if you haven't found the elusive 19% critical hit damage ones. Over at the West 46th Street checkpoint, we have a pretty good God-rolled loud vent break for submachine guns. Got critical hit damage, critical hit chance, and accuracy. Pretty damn good in my opinion. Pretty much all 3 things that you want to have for a submachine gun. A little bit of accuracy helps tighten up the spread a little bit. Extra crit chance to make it crit more, and crit damage obviously to make your crits hit harder. Pretty decent. And I will mention this Enhanced ACR E. I wasn't going to because it's only a 262, and that's quite a few credits to get something. But if you love ACRs, I don't know, maybe you want it. It's got accurate, deadly, and destructive. Not a terrible combo, I guess, but not my first choice, but I figured I'd just point it out in case anybody wants to grab it. Alright guys, that's going to be the end of this vendor reset video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, I would really appreciate a like And if you're new to the channel, maybe even subscribe. I'm going to be doing these videos, I think, every week, at least for a long time. I am starting to get a little burnt out on the game, but I'll probably come back and record these videos for you guys anyway, even when I stop playing. But I'm also going to start doing some more streams. I've been lacking on the streams lately, so I'm going to try to do some more streams. If you guys want to check those out, I'd appreciate it. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for everything. Check the descriptions if you want timestamps. I meant to do timestamps in the last 2 videos, but I forgot. I'm going to do them this week, so if you want timestamps, anything, just click down in the description to jump around things. And I'm going to put an annotation or a text in the video at the beginning as well, so people know to click the annotations, because it's kind of useless to put this little note at the end of the video telling you to use the annotations. If you made it to the end of the video, you already watched the whole damn thing, and it's kind of useless for me to tell you, oh hey, by the way, there's timestamps down there. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Again, I really appreciate the support, and I hope you guys all have a great day, and God bless you.